All right, everybody. We're out of the studio today on a very special podcast with the Human Garage.
Yay!
Here we go. Man, this is crazy. This is my first podcast with multiple people. We've been talking a lot,
Yeah.
but now we have part of the team. Tell me about the Human Garage. How many people? Who are you guys? We're very intrigued.
I'm so excited to be here, by the way.
By the way, I have to look at Jason because I don't know how many people.
On our team,
Yeah.
probably about 15 directly, and then maybe 80 volunteers. Yeah.
And then we have thousands of people who support actively, new people coming through. So, totally, I think it'd be about 2,500 people totally supporting in some sort of active, meaningful way.
Well, a big part of our programs is to bring other people into this. And so everything that we do, we create a process and we teach them how to do it. So we show them how to create content. We show them how to build a website. We show them how to build a business. So when they come into our community, it's not just on us anymore. Other people can participate and they can step into what they enjoy to do.
Yeah, we had an interesting thing where we've been trying to capture content in a meaningful way. So we were in Austin. We had a Hollywood type cinematographer team, and what we find is that it takes a while to understand what's important. And what we were doing is we were trying to get people who were industry experts to capture what's important, but they have to learn what's important. They don't know what are the moments, what it's going to be like. And what we realize is we have all these people that are in our community worldwide that want to help, and we can engage them to, just like they're all becoming scientists and studying on their own bodies and sharing results with everybody else. Well, we can do the same thing with things like media. Like we have content producers, I don't know, 30 of them that produce content for us. And the same thing now is looking at how do we show people what the impact of this movement is around the world. And the best way to show them is to not just point the cameras at us. Because we're the smallest part of the whole movement. There's, 20 million people around the world doing something today. And we want to see all of that. And so we've been looking at ways to engage the community, like turn them into content producers. Like when something's important, have them video it. You guys remember America's Funniest Home Videos? You ever see that show? They play funny videos, but the cool thing about it is the users are always sending in content. And that's more powerful because it's their content, it's their stories, it's not about us. And I think that's what we're saying, it's not about us. We were here walking a path and we're going through this journey. And one of the guys, a big promoter that we're working with out of Ireland and London, he was asking, and we said to him, well, we're only going to do one tour. We're not doing this again, in 2 years or whatever. We want to live our lives and experience, and we can't do that if we're out there. Like we're going to be 1 year on the road, and that's not the life that I want to live. But we're doing it right now, and then it allows other people to rise, and that's really what we want.
The world tour is happening right now, as we speak, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, my parents were really excited because they were like, "Oh my God, they're gonna be like in Prague. That's really close to Austria. You can just ride over there and do it." So you might meet my mom.
Oh, that's awesome!
Yeah, they're really excited, and they cannot believe it. So what can you tell us? What cities are you gonna visit? Where can you guys? Because everybody's listening from somewhere else. This is the beauty of the internet: is that people from all around the world will be listening. So how can they get to meet you in person, or what's on the world tour list?
Well, we have some locations locked in. So next is New York. Then we have Prague and then Dublin. But what we've really done is we're putting it out there so the people around us, we're sharing the vision. We want to impact the most amount of people that we possibly can over the next year. It's not about making money at these events. It's about the reach. So we're working with different partners who are donating a property, donating a place for us to stay so we could bring our whole team and we could make this as accessible as possible. And by putting out that message, we have people reaching out and saying, we want to partner with you and we want to put the event together. So that's what's happening in Dublin and New York. Those events are being put together for us. So we're going wherever the world takes us right now.
And it is cool because it's really getting there. Like for us, we move 15 to 20 people. So the expense of moving the people, feeding them, setting up and all this. So the people in New York, they have a resort. They want to put an event on for the city and bring everybody in. So they're hosting us 100%, paying for our food, paying for our accommodations. And then we're giving back to that community. And the same thing's happening in Dublin, Ireland. And that's really this is how it can work. It's so it's not about us, a corporation, like I said, making money. It's about us getting out there and letting people feel the impact of being helped, helping themselves and helping others.
And then do you have certain people that are good at certain things, like somebody that does the logistics, somebody that does the content, or are you guys good at everything? And you guys are the co-founders,
Yeah,
right?
and we have Aisha, who's not here. She's coming tomorrow. Yeah,
And there's 15 main
I'd say
people?
15.
15 directly that we travel with everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
but
then
we
there's-
have operational people.
Yeah,
that
and
you
then
can
we
live
have
together.
people. The cool part about having a company where we reach people all over the world is we have people in South Africa, we have people in Australia,
Yeah.
we have people in Canada, U.S., Mexico, all working for us. But it's about bringing other people in. Like when we started this, whenever you start a business, you have to basically do everything, and you do everything until there's that moment where you find somebody who can take something off your plate. And scaling the Human Garage, it was one of the biggest lessons for me was to let go, because as you start to learn everything and do everything, you're so overwhelmed by doing things that you can't pass it off to somebody else. And so as we were growing, for myself, I was in my own way. I was one of the reasons why we couldn't continue to grow, because I didn't step back and allow other people the opportunity to take responsibility of tasks. So we did everything when we started this, and we did it for 3 years straight. And there was a pivotal point where it was so painful because you have no time in your day to actually self-actualize. You're always doing tasks. But the moment that you take that time to bring somebody on and train them and allow them to take ownership of a role that they really want to do, then we could grow. And that's why we're growing so fast. One, it's because we've let go of that control. And two, it's because we're open sourcing everything so everybody in our community can learn the roles and then take them over right away. Like we could have anybody, we could call them in our community right now, and they know how to create content for us. And so if we can build those programs, they can go through those programs and learn everything that we do.
And those 15 people, you guys live together full time.
Yeah, actually, that's the ones that are living, traveling. But when we go to Mexico, there's a whole team of people that are there.
Oh,
In
that didn't all
there-
travel here.
Yeah, in Canada we have people that are there that are either doing local projects, working in those local areas, and or supporting. That's what I forgot all about them.
And how is it to live in a community? I mean, these days where everybody's on their phone, we live our life through YouTube. We don't even experience anything anymore, right? We have sex through porn. We travel through travel vlogs. We have, I don't know, we watch food photos on Instagram instead of eating. And then the human brain, I saw this video where it doesn't realize, it cannot like know what you see on a screen and what actually differentiate between real life and screen. So you think you're having like this epic moment where you see somebody jump out of an airplane, or when you see a sun that goes directly into the camera, you close your eyes because it's too bright, because you think you're actually looking into the sun. It's like a little trick where your brain cannot differentiate if you're really looking at the sun or if it's a sun on a screen. So we constantly think like we're having sex, but we're actually just watching porn, and we're having these crazy experiences by we're actually just watching a YouTuber doing their stuff. And and we're getting isolated. They're trying to put us 6 feet apart. They want to keep us in our little apartments, right? Nobody talks to each other. I don't know my neighbors. I don't know the people I eat with. We don't eat together. We eat alone, and the whole system is set up for everybody being with their iPad in a single room by themselves. And then we have you guys living all together, traveling, making food together, doing fascial removals, maneuvers, and having these like epic moments together where everybody's craving this sort of like, being back in a village. People gather and hunt and cook on a fire, and you talk and hold each other's hands and make music, and it seems like very, very epic and cool. And I think we missed that, and that's why me and my wife kind of also created a family, because we missed this sense of community, this home where you come home and it's not empty and dark. So can you tell me more about this like experience, how this is to live in a community?
Yeah, we want to know. And also, like, do you guys get tired of each other?
And do you openly communicate? Like, there has to be like some sort of communication, right? If maybe someone's like, okay, like, I've had enough.
If you think of the word culture, because that's what it is, or the word cult, where a lot of people say it's a cult. Well, cult comes from culture. And what is culture? It's what happens when nature gets together. It's like a culture and a yogurt. Every time a culture grows naturally, and we learn how to be in a community when we're born into a family. We learn that in our family, we take our shoes off at the door. So in our family, we don't talk back when somebody says something. In our family, we put all of the cards on the table anytime there's a problem. So those are all cultural things that we learn, but they're not rules. Those are just ways that we habituate as a species together. And those have been taken away from us. So we've gone through the journey of learning how to articulate culture. And one of the ways to do it is to put a set of values. Like one of the things we do is share how we feel in real time. Now, if I'm not feeling good because you're pissing me off and I don't say anything, I'm going to take that away and I'm going to be angry and talk in my head about it, and it's going to come out somewhere else. So these are little things that once we put into place, like show up as your best self, be honorable in all your relationships. They're measuring sticks that allow us to say when somebody is diverting off or on. We all agree that this is how we are going to measure ourselves, and those measurements allow us to adjust our sails accordingly so that we develop that team culture. It's like a hockey team or any other team. When you start moving together, after a while, you just move as one. You know what the other person's going to do. Well, it takes a while to get there. And so that we've been in that while to get there. And I personally myself, I have not ever once felt like I didn't want to be around these people. And I don't know.
I've never felt like I didn't want to be around them. There's have been challenges, but never that I didn't want to be around these two. From day one, actually.
Would you say that your community also attracts that kind of person, obviously, that is really good for this kind of community?
Well, that's actually a big part of the success, because our training programs teach people the basic values and belief systems that align with us. Because beliefs separate people. Like if you don't believe something and I believe something, there's going to be a little bit of tension there. And so that was actually part of our journey. It's we're a health and wellness company. So we teach people how to heal themselves. But that doesn't necessarily line up with community, because community, everybody's allowed. There's no judgment about whether you eat one way or another. And so we actually had to find that separation naturally. One, it's like we're being integral to the health and wellness part of the brand, but then we have people who live with us who might not be living into that integrity. And so our training programs get people to a base level so that we have a basic understanding and we align in the belief systems and in the values. But to live in a community, you're going to have somebody who likes to clean. You're going to have somebody who likes to talk. You're gonna have people who don't want to talk at all. Some people who want to drink. Some people who want to eat certain ways. And if you start drawing the line too hard, you start to break apart the community. Now, that doesn't mean that boundaries aren't important, because if you don't have good boundaries, it sets you up for failure. So right when somebody walks into the room, the rules should be very clear. And if they're not clear, then it creates arguments later on. And if you can set them right away and you can communicate them when they're crossed, then generally that's what I feel has worked for us. When we didn't have good boundaries because we didn't know what would work and what wouldn't, it just ended up blowing up in our face.
Did you have to kick some people out?
Yes.
Yes. And it wasn't nice. You know, like there are people, what we've learned is that people, it's like training for anything else. It's people come and live with us for a while and hang with us. Hey there. People come and live and hang with us for a while, and they spend a week or a month with us, and then they go away, they go back and they get contrast, and they come back. And they get time to adjust to it, because very few people have ever been in a community where people will tell them what they think in real time. And if I'm being a bit of an a-hole, I'm going to know it right away. And normally people, we just let them say that. And we don't do that. And it creates a higher standard. You know, I've had this saying that I had through my business career is that business partners make great friends, but friends and family make bad business partners. And the reason why is because with business, there's a set of established, agreed upon rules, or at least precepts of rules. And as family and friends, we like, oh, forget about it. You know, that's not important. So we break those rules, and that's where all the problems happen. So architecting the rules or the measuring sticks. And I guess it's not really rules or measuring sticks. Here's how we're going to judge or look at a situation. You know, are we being authentic? Are we showing up your best self? Because sometimes showing up your best self might be like, I'm not feeling well. I don't want to be here, but I'm here. I'm showing up. And I'm letting you know that. So you don't think there's something wrong with me and my attitude towards you. I could be just having a bad day. So when people are presented with those things the very first time, it feels uncomfortable. And then after a while, it becomes safe.
Yeah. Can I say one more thing on that? The willingness to contribute to the collective is really important, because there's one, like, we're moving this direction as a team versus this is what I need in this moment. Because what I need in this moment might not be in alignment with what the team needs. And so if I'm doing it out of spite, I'm going that direction just because I'm angry that the team didn't choose to go that direction, that starts to break the culture. So as long as somebody has the willingness to do what's best for the team, even though that might mean taking the day off and resting a little bit, but not doing it with the anger behind it. Does that make sense? So it's your willingness to work together, even if you're not okay, even if you don't agree with every decision that's being made. You might not want to go that way, but the team does. So you choose to go that way too. And this is a tough one because you don't want to control people. And so there's independence, but then there's full control. If fully independent and they're doing whatever they want, then we're all moving in different directions and it's really hard to achieve anything. But if we can agree upon something that we're going to go one direction, we can go really far together. So it's about finding the right people who want to participate in the direction that we're going as a whole.
You know, there's as it is in the body, or at the micro level, it is in the macro level of the universe, right? And in our body, we have 50 trillion cells, and each cell has its own power, its own waste management. It has its own brain. It has its own decision-making capabilities, and each cell is alive by itself. But what the body does, which is really cool, is it organizes all of those cells under a central narrative, or the beating of a drum. And the narrative is what they all march to. It's like all the oars are being rowed when somebody in the boat says row, row. And that row is the common direction or the theme. And what we have believed is that in the age of Aquarius, where we're at, is that this is where communities are going. People are starting to go back into living together in communities, working towards a common vision. And then that way for us, we don't have to separate our work life from our life, our social life. It's the same. And if our work life and our social life is the same, we don't have to like go to work and then detox from work and then so that we can go and have our life, which no one really has anymore. We're just integrating in our life is our community and it is our work and it is our mission at the same time. So people agree that are around us agree upon the general precepts of the mission. And it's pretty cool, actually. I mean, we get to travel the world for a year hang out in some of the coolest places, like right here. We get to help people, which we love to do. We get to do it with people that we care about and we like, and everybody has a role. Super cool.
Do you have personal possession? Like cars and
No,
phones?
no. I mean, I have a backpack.
Yeah.
Legitimately.
How does that feel really? Does that free you?
Freeing, yes.
It was one of the most liberating things because everything that you own, you think about subconsciously. So, where are my keys? I don't know where they are. Something small like that, it runs a program and that takes bandwidth. So now we travel with a backpack, t-shirt, shorts, laptop, some essential oils, or shoes, or sandals, I guess.
Crystals.
Yeah. So it's really small. So everything that it was funny because Maxine, who's now 8 years old, she kept asking me, when are you going to pack for our trip? And I'm like, I'll pack right before we go. And she's like, but Jay, we leave in 30 minutes. And I'm like, it's okay. And then, she comes back up and we have to leave in a minute. And she goes, Jay, are you going to pack? Like, you haven't packed yet. And I'm like, yeah, watch this. And I was showing her, I walked over to my closet. I pulled my bag down, threw my shorts in, threw my shirt in, walked over to the bathroom, put my toothbrush and oils, and then walked out the door. She couldn't believe it. And so we've been programmed that we need all these things, but we don't. And it's extremely liberating when we don't.
I would say we're enslaved
Yes.
by possession and getting the next big thing, or enslaving ourselves with a mortgage and a car payment and you name it. I mean, there's one thing after another. And not only that, we also we make those items part of you.
Identity.
It is my car, not a car. And
Yes.
if the car gets destroyed, it creates pain inside of me. If I lose this possession, I now have pain. It's like a part of me. And we even teach kids this is your toy, not a toy. It goes really early where you and they feel pain when they lose a certain object or their backpack, or so it's. And I've moved many times in my life, and every time I threw a lot of things away because we would move in a smaller home, it would feel much better than buying it, getting rid of things.
Yeah.
Right. You feel this weight.
It was a journey. I stopped purchasing and buying stuff in the clinic back around 2015, and I refused to buy anything other than my basic needs. And then over time, when all of the material things were gone, then I realized what my possessions really were. My possessions were all those things, like you just said, the identities that came along with it. Like, who was I if I didn't have a car? And it's been a journey. It has not been a straight line, I'll tell you that. It has been something where it's brought up a lot of emotions. I'll tell you one. I had the Canadian government, or where we were, they said I wasn't a resident, so they took away my driver's license. And I'm like, I could fight it easily. I could prove I was a resident. But, and I'm like, wait a second here. I got that driver's license when I was 14. And to me, that represented freedom. And what I thought they were taking away, what it felt like they were taking away is my freedom. And I'm like, wait, I don't need it. I can get driven anywhere, Uber anywhere. And quite frankly, depending what country we're in, I just drive anyway. So, but that license had such a meaning to me, and it was a really hard thing for me to let go of. But it's only a license, and I can go get it again if I wanted to. But the bizarre nature of not owning a driver's license, not owning a bank account, it definitely has had brought up emotions.
But it also makes it a lot easier. Like when I wake up in the morning, I have to make 0 decisions. What are you going to wear today? Oh, this is a hard choice. 1 t-shirt, 1 shorts. And they talk about getting into the flow state all the time. It's like every decision that I have to make takes energy. I don't want to have to think about silly things, how I'm going to look in a day. And that's the beautiful part about this is we're trying to make natural and organic cool again. You know, I don't need to do my hair. I don't need to look a certain way anymore to make an impact in the world. And that's part of this experiment. Is we're showing people that you can just show up as who you are and make a difference.
I feel like there's a fine line, even with children, between like where you don't want the independence. I used to remember when I grew up, there was at 8:15 there was one movie, and we watched that one movie, and everybody was happy with that one movie. Now I open I don't watch Netflix anymore, but I used to open Netflix up, and me and my wife would scroll for half an hour, and we wouldn't find anything, and then we would start one thing and go to the next thing, and then end up not watching anything. Stop that though. But even with my son is like when I ask him on the weekend, like, do you want to do this, it's overwhelming to him. He's like farm park, water park. Oh my God, like there's beauty in not having a choice, kind of, and like I will make that choice for you with food and with activities. And I mean, there's a fine line between like how much independence do you want somebody to have, and how much independence do you want for yourself, and how many silly things do you decide on a daily basis where it's just so silly, like what you wear and how you dress, and so I see how light that must feel, even not to constantly must check your phone and your numbers and your bank account.
Yeah. Coming from someone who has controlled every aspect of my life, every detail, every meeting, every appointment, every plane flight, to just showing up. It's so freeing, but the journey to get there is it brings up emotions, because we tied everything as a society to those things. And you said something about the kids that was interesting. So when we have less choices of external stimulation, it changes the behavior of the human body to be more internally driven. And what I mean by that is we become more creative, and our mind starts to wander. And this is how humans are built. And when we're told what to think, we lose our ability to think. And when we're told what to do all day, and we have routines and schedules, we lose our ability to be creative as a society. And that's what's happened. And you can see it. So when we were kids, we didn't have toys. We had rocks and we had sticks. And we're older. I mean, you guys are younger, but seriously, we didn't have toys. Like the most I had was a bike.
We had our imagination. And that's the gift to give to the little ones, is their imagination.
And we're going back to that childlike state where it's okay to be alone without things. And not only okay, it's empowering.
Absolutely. It's like a coloring book or a blank page where you can draw whatever you want, or you just color the little fields that somebody tells you to color. But you also want to have the tools, right? You want to have the paper and the so yeah, it's a constant experiment, like on like independence, being free, and
So here's a way to look at it. Take the things that you do.
what do you actually need?
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Take the things that you do. Go ahead.
There is something we need. A clean environment.
Yes.
So everywhere we go, we bring a travel pack with us.
Okay.
You know, we have filtered water, hydrogenated. We've got laundry magnets instead of using laundry detergent. Because laundry detergent, even if it's organic, it blocks the pores of your skin. Your skin breathes. So we use laundry magnets. And that creates friction in the water and helps clean your clothing. We bring organic toothpaste, no shampoo, no conditioner. You don't need any of that stuff. So when we travel and we bring our creature comforts with us, the things that we know that are natural and organic, that sustain a healthy lifestyle. Because if our environment is sick, then we're a reflection of that. And, you wake up and you've got chemicals in your bed sheets, and then you go into the shower and you've got chemicals in the water, and you go brush your teeth, you've got chemicals in your toothpaste. You haven't even started your day and you're at minus 100. And so what we want to do is bring this healthy environment everywhere we go. Most of the places that we stay at, we always look for a place in nature, hopefully with well water, especially in the United States. And we do the best that we can to bring what we can to sustain that healthy lifestyle. Because without that, then we constantly have to do fascial maneuvers. We constantly have to do breath work. You constantly have to do meditation, and you still don't feel good.
Yeah. It's basics of things that make your life work. And for us, it's living at the healthy lifestyle. We were a media company, so we have the appropriate media tools and we have the access that we need. But when I'm done the day, at the end of the day, it's because I go to sleep feeling like I accomplished something every day. And I don't have this feeling like I have to do something more or that I didn't do enough, which is a big change because I spent my whole life thinking like that, feeling like that. I used to wake up every morning worried about all the things that I didn't do. Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore. It's free.
I don't even know what day it is.
Yeah, the only way I know what day it is we have an event coming up. But I don't know, I still don't even know what day the month is. I have to check.
I have to think.
When somebody's listening to this, like me and my wife, we've been going through like all the toxins in our life, and we're still to this day finding things that we have forgotten, or like some sort of polyester that we didn't recognize. Things like not putting your phone to your head. There's still like things. Yesterday, I had somebody on the podcast who told me that even the battery that you sit on in the Tesla gives off EMF,
Yeah.
like a microwave.
Did you,
So
Justin? Did you?
I had
Justin Cranston?
Mark Gordon.
Oh, yeah,
Dr.
yeah.
Mark Gordon.
Yeah.
He does all the brain injuries, and he has a reader now, a EMF reader, where he goes through the house and checks everything. And I wanted to maybe you can point out for everybody listening all the toxins on a daily basis. Like you started pretty good. Yeah. Maybe you have some more to be aware of.
Yeah, I think the main one to focus on is water,
Okay.
because
Where do people start? Because it's overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
You're like, you live your life, and then you suddenly
so
touch into this holistic space, and you're like, oh my God. Like I remember my wife was like, oh my God, like it's too overwhelming. Like I don't even want to start. And I think I even had my landlord used to be holistic, and they used to like tell us like, yo, don't get the booster, don't do this. And we're like, yeah, whatever. And then because you kind of like, you don't wanna, there's nothing harder for the human to like realize you were in the wrong and admitting to it and then changing it. We're all like set in our beliefs and our political beliefs and our religious beliefs in who we are. And there's nothing harder to like realize that actually I have no idea what's going on. Let me just take another step in the other direction, maybe, maybe just admit I was wrong. I shouldn't have done, get the booster. I shouldn't have done the light up the candles with the scents. Let me just redo this, right? Let's take a step back. So I love that water is a good start, right?
Yeah, well, it's a long game. Mm-hmm. Even for us, it took us 4 years just to get the plastic out of our fridge, and to get barefoot shoes or organic T-shirts. Yeah. And so it takes time to do these things. One of the ways to start is start with the heavy hitters. So water, you take a shower, you drink it, you wash your food with it, you wash your clothes with it. And if you pull the water reports in the United States right now, there's 400 times the healthy range or healthy dose of arsenic, 700 times the healthy range of chlorine. And there's a list of 15 to 25 different chemicals that you can pull and in the water in the United States right now. And so what are the simple ways? You can get a vitamin C shower head. Vitamin C shower head's like $80. You put it on your shower and that will filter out some of the chemicals. So now you're a little bit better than you were yesterday. Focus on that for the first month. The second month, you can go to the plastic in your fridge. You can buy glass instead of plastic. If you want to, you can change your toothpaste. You know, there's tons of organic companies out there that have good toothpaste. You can find something. So what I suggest is really to think about the things that are on you every day. Like you wear clothing for 8 to 10 hours, 15 hours a day. That's on you all day, leaking chemicals into your body. So maybe start there. So think about the things in your life that are constantly impacting you, like food.
Yeah.
Food is another one. Food, coffee, wine, sauces, those are heavy hitters. Like we're eating 3 times a day. Go to organic food.
The one of the things that we've done is we've taken our journey and then we said, here's what we had to go through, even with all the help to figure it out. So we've created guides. Like we have a supplement guide, which tells you not like what to take, but why you might want to take it. And then we have a clean your environment guide, and you can go download it. It's free from our website. And these are the things that we went through and some of the decisions that we made. And it's not everything, but it's the 80% that if people just start focusing on one of those at a time, they don't have to go through the learning curve. Because even when we go from one country to the next, we have to go through a learning curve of how to keep our environment clean.
And that's even going on the road on our world tour right now. What we're doing is we're building like a package that we ship to where we're going to stay, and that's got everything in there. And so what we're doing is we're building an ecosystem of partners that are on a mission to help people and have healthy products. And we're putting that into a store, and people can go there and they can see all the products that we use in our day-to-day life. But those are the ones that we're going to be putting in our travel pack. So everywhere we go, no matter where we go, we'll have healthy and organic products to support our lifestyle.
What does a day in a life in the Human Garage look like?
Well, I think they're different for all of us.
And depending where we are.
Yeah. For me, well, as a team, we normally get up and go to when we're at home in Mexico, we're looking for ways to do this on the road. We get up and we do maneuvers.
What time?
Well, we're doing maneuvers at sunrise, so like 6:30, depending where you are in the world. When we're in Cancun, we do it at the beach every day. And that's something that bonds us and brings us together. And then from there, it's a series of, coming back, it's a series of just interacting with each other, seeing what's important for the day, what we're working on. And then we all go off into our different ways. Some, like Jason's doing a lot of the infrastructure business. I go usually into media, lives that we've been doing every day. But we all have our own way of doing things. Cynthia will, what do you do?
I do like to get up and go to the ocean, but I have spent more time, I think, in Canada. So I have a cold ocean. They have a hot ocean. I do things like paint now. So my life is a little bit different than it was. I still enjoy doing, like, we have clients that come, friends that we do, and we do a lot of body work, and I love doing that. So life has changed over the years from this real structure for me.
That's actually a point I wanted to bring on is when you have all these people coming with their baggage and their problems and they're like, how do you deal with all this energy, right?
It's intense. But first of all, you get a bit of a muscle to learn to deal with it. But number one is we don't take any money for treatment if we're doing treatment or helping somebody, because what we are is a human being helping a human being, and we don't monetize that. That, number one, takes away at least 75% of the energy that's carried through it. Then the next thing is that we generally help people who really, really need help, but who are already helping themselves. If they're helping themselves, there is not very much load on us. But if they're not helping themselves, it's horrible. So if someone, doesn't take care of themselves and they want us to fix it, that's not going to work out well. And that's where all the energy goes. So we empower people and inspire people to do the right things. And when they do the right things, and the people that we normally work with today are people in our community that have already been helping people for a long time. The only other people we work with are people who can help spread a message.
So you're saying taking money would change the relationship and the energy between helping somebody?
Yeah, I have a very strong belief in this because I've done it and we have done it and I used to charge a lot of money for my treatment, for my services, up to $21,000 for 3 days. And what I found is that the most effective form of helping somebody is like when it's in a restaurant or on a plane or standing there in line or talking to somebody in real time. The benefits and the life-changing experiences that happen that way as opposed to on a treatment table are immense. So we made a choice to do it that way. But that came with a belief system that says, well, how do we make money how do we acquire money to live or to move forward and do the things we want in our life? And we trusted that if we give in the way of helping people, the universe will give back to us. And that's what happened all along the way.
I always tell people, that what would you do if you wouldn't get paid for it? Like, when I ask myself, what do I want to do in my life? What do I love so much? Like the gym, right? I pay to go to the gym because I love it so much. I don't need to get paid to do it. So also with podcasts or with other things, I always ask myself, like, what would I do even if I wouldn't get paid?
Well, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. And so that's our lifestyle. So that's why we have our lifestyle artist program.
Yeah, it's getting paid for something means you separate what you do from who you are. And if you just be who you are, then you're always content at the end of each day.
So one of the things I wanted to say, when your car breaks and you have to fix it, you're pretty angry, right? But when you go and buy a new car, it feels pretty good. Or you enhance it or make it better in some way. And so when people used to come to us, it used to be because they wanted us to fix them. Something was wrong. They passed the responsibility to us and we were responsible for fixing them. And that energy engagement there's a lot of anger, a lot of resentment, a lot of sadness that comes with that. And that exchange happens there. The shift was when we were here to accelerate people and to help them feel better in their lives. It wasn't to fix them, it was to transfer a feeling or help them perform better in some way. So when we work with people, it's kind of like it's like a dance. You're not doing anything on them, you're doing it together. Like when I work with somebody, it's very intimate. It's a two-way process. And so I'm getting a lot out of the session too. If I'm leaving the session not feeling good, there's something there. Generally, when I work with somebody now, I leave feeling high on life. And so do they. And that's because the energy that we're engaging is creation, not fixing. And that's a very important distinguishment when working with people.
So to put that in perspective and what that feels like, we're at the Austin event and after there's 1,000+ people there. And after the event, Jason and Aisha and Cynthia and I were lined up on separate sides of the stage. And there was a lineup of roughly 300 people that took us approximately probably 8 or 9 hours straight, just seeing people minute after minute after minute. And at the end of it, we all had energy the next day we got up. And, if we go back 3 years ago, even us 1 or 2 sessions with people, and we had to go to detox ourselves. So what Jason was saying is that there's a different engagement that we have because our relationship with the people that we're working with and their intention and our intention is very different.
It's all about perception. If I look at the person and I say, I don't want to take that from them, well, I'm going to take that from them. When I look at somebody and I'm working with them, it's like, how can we do something here to both expand in this moment? Or what is this person teaching me? I'm not pointing the finger at them and saying, I don't want their anger. They're releasing a lot of emotions right now. Because if that's the lens that I'm looking at the situation with, I'm going to leave with anger. So it's all about the lens that you are wearing when you step into the session. Like, for example, if you have a burglar and they go into a restaurant, they're going to find every single way that they can steal from the place. But if you have a chef, they're going to look at every single way that they can make the place better. And so the lens that you have when you go into the session is really important. If my lens is I'm fixing this person, or I don't want this from this person, that's exactly what I'm going to get. But if my lens is let's go on this experience together, let's get high, let's have a good time, let's expand ourselves, then that's what I get.
So it's like enhancing someone rather than fixing somebody, and giving them the tools to fix themselves. So eventually they will fix other people and help them fix them. So it just creates this community within, right?
With no expectations. That's the difference. Because if I have an expectation when I'm helping somebody, it takes away from the energy of helping somebody. And so when we would charge, people would always measure if they were fixed or not against how much they had paid. And their expectation was that they would be fixed, and our expectation was that we could fix them. And so it's all about the expectation when you're working with somebody. If you have no expectations and you just want to help somebody because you want to do something nice for them, that always feels good. It can literally just be smiling at somebody when you walk past them in the street and they smile back and it makes their day. There's no expectation. I don't expect them to give me anything for smiling at them, but we both left that engagement feeling better. I think a lot of the time we think that we have to climb a mountain in order to feel better. But sometimes to help somebody, it could literally be something as simple as giving them a hug, smiling at them, or even just asking them if they're okay. And when we had that lineup of 300 people, I think on both sides, like we were literally working on people for 8 hours straight. It's like, most people, I don't even have to put my hands on them to do anything. I just have to look at them and genuinely care about how they feel in that moment and ask them, what's going on? Are you okay? Is there anything that I can do to support here? And because they don't feel heard in their life, because they don't have an environment that allows them to share or release the trauma that they're holding, just by simply being there and giving them the opportunity to feel seen is what releases the trauma. So you don't even have to know how to do fascial maneuvers. Just being willing to observe and listen to somebody and actually care about the answer that they give you on the end of that is really what the work is all about.
Yeah. So the secret for me, because I was a practitioner before this, and I was a practitioner for a decade. The secret for me was, or has been today, is that I look for something that person is there for me. I'm learning something, and this is why I use astrology, is because I can go, oh, I know why that person's there in my life, and then I assume that they're there to help me. And that's what's changed my relationship with working with people.
Mm-hmm. It's providing a feeling of safety as well. Sometimes people walk up on the stage and they want to meet us, they want to do a maneuver or some assistance. And if they feel safe, they can literally walk up the stairs and they immediately start crying.
Yes.
But if they don't feel safe, we joke all the time. We're going to get Cynthia a t-shirt that says, yes, you can cry here, and just have some tissues tucked in, because, when the body feels safe, it releases trauma naturally. And, we can say all the affirmations in the world. We can do all the therapy in the world. But if the body doesn't feel safe at the core, then trauma will not release. Stress will not release. And so safety is a feeling. And it took me years to find that feeling and hold that feeling when I'm working with people. If I can hold the feeling of safety when someone comes up for a session or for some work, and I just sit in that feeling of safety, by default, their body feels that safety. It's like a tuning fork. If I hit a tuning fork in a room and there's another tuning fork in the room, they're going to sink. So as long as I hold on to that feeling of safety, their body will feel that. And that's when the trauma releases, and it happens naturally.
So you're creating a safe space, and then everybody, that's mostly, and then everybody can help themselves.
Yeah, and I didn't think I had anything trapped in my body. As a guy, we grow up in society and we're taught to push down our emotions and power through. And it took me about 3 years of doing fascial maneuvers to finally feel safe in my body. I wet the bed until I was 9 years old. That's a sign of fear. Growing up in South Africa, it's a very dangerous place as a child. I was taught to climb into a wine cellar at 3 years old, or jump out of a car if it was getting hijacked. And so growing up in a world like that, there's a lot of fear that gets trapped in the body, but I was taught to just push through it. And so after 3 years of doing fascial maneuvers, my body finally felt safe. And I remember the moment because I was about to leave for Cancun for our first retreat. And my mom was in the room with me, and I just uncontrollably started crying and releasing trauma from my body. And I had no narrative attached to it. So my body, for whatever reason, next to my mom, felt safe enough to release trauma, but I didn't even have a narrative tied to it. And so we don't have to understand where that emotion's coming from or have a story tied to it. The body knows, and when it feels safe, it will release.
I just love, it's funny because I love your approach with your family and your kids, because I admire that, because I didn't have that approach. I was taught by a system that you work, you go off, you make money, you build a legacy, and that your kids and your family will live by, which separates you from them. And I see you interacting with your family, and it's a beautiful thing. It really is. I appreciate that so much.
Me and my wife, we always ask ourselves, like, what do we really need that we don't have right now, and why do we need more time away from our kids so we can do what? Like, what's the point of that? So that we can make more money to spend less time with our children? It's so bizarre how everybody has a nanny and everybody is like away from their kids so they can make more money in LA. It's all backwards, because we just create like less time with each other at the end of the day.
So speaking of that, the children in our community, like Maxine, which is Aisha's daughter, who's 8 now, right? So she has conscious people all around in the community that she goes and spends time. She has like pajama parties with Lisa over there, dresses Lisa up for work sometimes, which Lisa probably shouldn't take dressing advice for work from Maxine, because she looks like she came from a Mickey Mouse convention. But this girl has, like within the course of a year, completely learned another language, not just functionally, like to the core of understanding concepts and beliefs around it. She has all these adults and that will give her time, and really give her time and attention, and communicate with her and work with her, and the growth is amazing. And the children used to be raised by the village, and the parents brought the children into the world, but the village is what raised the children. And that concept is we're bringing back, and because it's really cool to watch little Maxine and see her development as a girl who, when we got there, she didn't want to be in the ocean, didn't want to help, didn't want to pick up anything, didn't want to do her dishes, didn't want to be a part of things. And now she's every one of those things.
I also think that goes back to the conversation of community, when you asked what it's like to live in one. We have dogs, we have squirrels, we have different homes, and we have kids and grandparents. And I think because there's so much diversity, we all learn from each other. Like, I joke sometimes, but I say Maxine's our chief play officer. She'll come up and say, Jay, you're working too hard. And, she'll poke me a couple times until I run around or play. And that's a really important aspect of life, of work, of living, and being in a community. So having children there, generally they're learning from the mom and the dad. But if they have multiple parents or role models or people that they can look up to and learn from, they're going to learn very fast. Like, imagine cooking in a kitchen right now with 15 people from all around the world with different backgrounds. You're going to learn something very quickly. And if you do that, for 3 months, you're going to have some good techniques, new recipes available to you. And so having a child be a part of that, she has 15 different parents at all times. And parent is really just an educator. It's somebody who's teaching the child a different way of seeing the world, a different way of doing things. And the more reflections that we have, the faster that we learn. If you only have two parents, you become the sum of them. And you can only go so far if you're the sum of two people. But if you have 15 people around you, you're going to go really far. And that's what we've seen over the last 2 years of her being in this community. It's like she knows art, she knows singing, she knows dancing, she knows English. And there's all these different skills that she's learned from different people in the community.
That's yeah, and to talk about what you said earlier is, I think most of us, like, I found that out yesterday about when I in the podcast, that most people don't know that they have trauma. Most people that have brain injury don't know that they have, and most men are not willing to speak about it, and that's why the suicide rates are so high, especially in veterans, in military people. Especially men have huge problems admitting to their weaknesses and to their trauma. And I guess we all do. And so I think it's to create a safe space where you can let that be, instead of going to therapy or taking pharmaceuticals to suppress that, is what we all need.
So part of the journey was, I wrote a piece early on in this journey with the three of us, and it's called "Privacy Was My Disease." And privacy is why we don't share, because we think we're going to be socially rejected. And currently we have husbands and wives that are on Instagram talking to one of the 27,000 new messages a week that we get, talking to us about their personal health issues, not even knowing that their husband or wife or partner is talking to us. So they're both doing the same things because they're afraid that if they talk about it, there's going to be a social condemning of some sort. And this is what the pandemic had done. It had taken where politics and religions were the things that we didn't want to talk about. We took personal health and put it in that category. And this is the biggest disease factor, is privacy, and in a community, it's impossible to be private. And this is why healing happens in community. And so what we've done is we've created a physical community, but the origin of the community was a virtual community. And it's around the world where people are helping themselves. And these concepts of, like, if I've got a rash, I'm sharing it. I'm talking about it. Or if I've got herpes, I'm talking about it, because the body can actually cure itself from herpes really easily, but it can't if the intent of herpes is shame and I'm feeling shameful, it's never going to go away. So having the ability to openly express without judgment is what allows people to heal in a community. And so it starts off in this virtual way where this is the culture of our community. And then it's practiced right down at the level where we live and we work and we interact with each other.
The Human Garage, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ken, I mean, it's really amazing getting to know you. It's funny because I was talking to somebody the other day about you, and how he was talking about how you had broken social norms to just be who you were. And that is the hallmark of transformation in a society, is when it's okay to be you. And you've just made it okay to be you. And that's what I love about spending time with both you and Jocelyn and the kids. And I'm looking forward to spending more time with you guys. We really are.
So do we.
Yeah, it's an honor to be around your family, and it's just beautiful. It's beautiful to watch and observe. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Candy.
Yeah. No, it's an honor, man. You guys changed our life. Yeah, it's not been the same ever since we met you. And it's just so beautiful to connect and to feel seen and heard and have this space of safety. And it was one of the podcasts where it was not me asking you things. It was interactive, and it was interest from both sides, and we shared our story, and I shared a little bit, and it was one of the podcasts where I was like, wow, like this could also be like that. Instead of me like picking information out of someone, it was more of a divine and like circular, and like it was whole, and I didn't feel like interviewing somebody. It was very different than all the other podcasts I've done when I interviewed you.
We both have something to learn. I approach every situation as there's something here, and I'm here for a reason, and there's some part of this interaction that's here to move me forward in my life. And it doesn't matter whether it's a bum on the street or whether it's Candy Ken on the podcast. That's what we were saying. That's the way we live our life, and that's the way every interaction should be. Because I left that podcast feeling, wow, man, I learned so much. I would transform so much just from interacting with you in your life, and that's really how community is built.
All right, that's it.